Maton's factory at Box Hill represents a big commitment for the company since it began production here in 2003. Because the instruments are made from wood, temperature and humidity controls are essential to make top quality guitars. Maton's environmental management system is state-of-the-art and sets the stage for the first steps in the production process when the raw timber arrives, like the fiddleback grained blackwood Murray Kidman harvested in the Otway forest.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
I can't see any of those pithy spots there.
At this point, the timber is described as saturated, more than 50% moisture content, far too wet to be worked into a guitar. This is where carefully controlled humidity and temperature play their part. Over what may take many months, the timber brought in from various sources is slowly dried out in stages, alternately placed in a kiln, then brought back out to the factory floor where it rehydrates. This process is repeated until it reaches its optimum moisture level of around 5 or 6%. This timber is nearly there. Maton's timber specialists saw or plane selected pieces of timber of suitable quality to prepare for the next step, making guitar components. Maton uses specially designed machinery for this, called CNC.
The CNC is computer numeric control. What they are really is a router that has changeable tools, changeable heads, that follows a program that tells it where to go in X, Y and Z, three axis, what speed to go at and so on and so forth. We essentially use the machines for what they're good at, which is hogging away timber. So we take away the dangerous work that we used to do in the old days by hand with spindle moulders and so forth. We always try with the machines, we try to get as near as we possibly can get to a finished product, but we never ever get there. Wood's wood, it always moves and slightly, but it moves and twists and carries on after you've machined it, and it takes the craftsman to finish that.
So once the CNCs have finished roughly shaping the raw timber into guitar necks or solid bodies for electric guitars, that's when the human hand processes begin.
Fitting the neck is probably the hardest one to get your head around because there are so many angles, so many surfaces to change the way the neck's going to sit that it takes quite a while, typically 12 months, for somebody to get up to decent speed at fitting that dovetail joint.
The frets are also fitted by hand, and like almost all steps in the Maton guitar manufacturing process, is carried out by people who love and know guitars because they play them and put as much effort into each instrument as if it was their own. With the fitting of the bridge, the guitar is now nearly a playable instrument, but before it continues its journey, it will pass through the hands and eyes of guitar makers who make sure it meets Maton's demanding standards of quality. When it passes this test, then and only then it's ready for hand finishing and polishing. And these processes will be done in several layers until the instrument looks just magnificent. Maton's cosmetic appeal is important, but even more so, how does the guitar play?
I run the setup area, and my guys get the guitar in its raw state, painted, but just finished, and we fit all the hardware, the machine heads, the preamp, the pickup, all that side of things, fit the strings. We dress the frets, we make sure the neck is straight, we polish the fingerboards and string it up and actually make it ready to play. You have to be a good guitar player in my section because we have to string it up and we have to test it, which involves actually playing the instrument, making sure it doesn't buzz or rattle, make sure the neck's got a little bit of relief and just at the right height. And it's fairly involved because the guitar goes from us to being boxed up and sent out the door, and then the next person to pick it up will be a guitar player in a shop, and he has to pick it up and it has to play well. It's got to be good enough to play a gig, you know, it can land in the hands of a professional straight away, so it has to be of a suitable standard, suitable for someone in a bedroom to play, or suitable for someone to take on stage in front of, 3,000 people and do a concert.
The Maton guitar, electric or acoustic, is just as at home in huge venues like this, or a pub. Maton guitars are also at home in the hands of professional soloists and session musicians like Simon Hosford. Matons are his instrument of choice.
What I like about Matons is definitely multifaceted, but the first thing is that they sound great. Because ultimately, that's what a player like me gets judged on, especially if they're hiring you for a recording or something, is they don't care what you look like, they don't care what the instrument looks like, they just want to know that when they're employing you to put down a track, that at the end of the day it's going to sound fantastic. And so for me, that's definitely my primary concern, and Matons for me have always sounded great.
Many successful entertainers say Matons have proved themselves on the road.
Gotta get back to the track you came on, where the road reaches into the sun. One thing that my guitars do is they travel. I've lived in the Gulf of Carpentaria. They travel all over Australia and they go through some pretty extremes. I've played them on the streets of Broome with a lot of Aboriginal people. They've been knocked around by my kids. They're a robust guitar, but they're a quality instrument at the same time. And sounds great from the playing around the campfire up in the Gulf of Carpentaria or in the concert halls of anywhere in the world. They can cut it, yeah. So they're a beautiful, robust, sturdy instrument.
When I was, I suppose, first learning, I used to nick off with my teacher's Maton whenever I could. And I don't know, I just always loved playing it, and then we got in contact with the guys at Maton, and then kind of gradually got to know each other better, and I suppose helped each other out, and they've helped me a lot. They sound kind of Australian and woody and natural, and they feel great to play, and they obviously look very nice. But they just have something that's different about them.
was so conscious of trying to use Australian timbers where possible was another thing that we've continued to do. And we have succeeded. We've actually discovered new Australian timbers that can substitute for spruce on the face, which is bunya, and that's been very successful. And obviously we use a lot of Queensland maple and Queensland walnut.
There's always been a great ethic of, I think that came from Bill originally, of care and attention. It doesn't feel like a factory, it feels like a place where musical instruments are getting made.